new missile launches overnight by North Korea, the latest in a series of provocations, inflaming tensions with the U.S. and its allies. And our chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz, is in Washington with the latest. And Martha, also some news about North Korean warplanes flying close to the South Korean border this morning.
Absolutely, TJ. Just a short time ago, a dozen North Korean warplanes flew in formation on the South Korean side of a surveillance line. In response, 30 South Korean warplanes have been mobilized, but thus far this show of force has not had the effect the South Koreans and the U.S. were hoping for. Overnight, for the second time this week, North Korea launching ballistic missiles. 2 short-range missiles fired into the sea east of the Korean peninsula. It was Monday when the North Koreans rattled Japanese citizens by sending a medium-range missile right over Japan for the first time in 5 years. That missile traveling farther than any like it before. In response, the U.S. and South Koreans have conducted live fire drills as a show of force. But a South Korean missile launch on Wednesday turned into a military embarrassment. Shortly after liftoff, plowing into a nearby military base and erupting in flames. No injuries were reported, but a local lawmaker accused the South Koreans of threatening the lives of local citizens and failing to give them warning of the missile launch. In fact, the South Koreans didn't report the mishap for hours, and only after videos were posted on social media.
All right, Shalom. I'd like to start out by saying Ka Halayim La Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem Harikah Kodash Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing this truth to sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, as you can see from the video clips that we're playing, that tensions are heating up, prophecies are coming to pass, and these nations are laying a siege against Babylon. It's all being set up by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So the Lord is laying siege on this place first. And then from that siege, it's going to be all-out war scaled on this place. And America's going to be totally destroyed, man. And that's just it. We seeing these prophecies come to pass. And we know it's our captivity being turned back right before our eyes, And it's a beautiful thing because we almost out of here, man. So, and I also got an article that says North Korea fires 2 more missiles into the Pacific firing range. All right, and you saw that activity on the video clips. It says North Korea launched 2 more ballistic missiles off its east coast on Monday, with the powerful sister of leader Kim Jong-un saying North Korea's use of the Pacific as a firing range would depend on the behavior of U.S. forces. So they're flexing their muscles against America, man. You know, and there's been a history of tension between North Korea and the United States, and North Korea is backed also by Russia. All right. So after the World War II, North Korea took over. Russia took over North Korea, and United States took over the South. All right. It says the launches come just 2 days after North Korea fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into the sea off Japan's west coast, prompting the United States to hold joint air exercises in South Korea and separately with Japan on Sunday, right? So you see a lot of flexing going back and forth, so, and at the end of the day, these nations are calling America's bluff, man. America been bluffing all this time. Well, really just waging war against everybody, having the hegemony on the earth, just like and ruling with the rod of anger. On these all ruling with the continual stroke on all these other nations, man. And now they're like, okay, but now it's just a bluffing strategy because now you're starting to see the bully get bullied, and they're calling the bluff. It says North Korea's state media confirmed it fired two projectiles from a multiple rocket launcher aiming at targets 395 kilometers or 245 miles and 337 kilometers or 209 miles away. The 600 multiple rocket launcher mobilized in the firing is a means of tactical nuclear weapon capable of paralyzing an enemy airfield. North Korea's KCNA state news agency said. Analysts said that the warning about the Pacific being a North Korean firing range from leader Kim's sister, Kim Yo-jong, could signal plans to fire more missiles further, possibly in the direction of the United States territory of Guam. And you see those military bases that the United States has over there in Guam. All right. And so, America doesn't keep it at home. It enlarges their desires as hell. That's how Esau does through America, man. And meddling in other man's affairs. It says Japanese Defense Ministry said the two missiles launched on Monday at around 2200 hours reached the maximum altitudes of about 100 kilometers or 50 kilometers. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said he had requested an emergency UN Security Council meeting after the test. And GG News agency said the gathering was set for 2000 hours. But prospects for a new round of UN sanctions appear slim given the previous vetoes by Russia and China amid the Ukraine crisis and the Sino-US feud over a Chinese balloon in America's skies. So there's so much going on right now. And now they're calling for a Security Council with the missile testing that North Korea is doing over there in the Pacific. It says South Korea's military condemned the launch as a grave provocation that should stop immediately. President Yoon Suk Yeol's office said it held a National Security Council meeting to review the test and discuss countermeasures. South Korea Foreign Ministry announced sanctions on 4 individuals and 5 entities linked to North Korea's weapon programs over the latest ICBM and missile tests and what is called its fastest ever such response to North Korea's provocation. All right, but that response, those sanctions aren't going to do anything. And North Korea wants the response to be war. They're calling everybody's bluff. Russia's calling everybody's bluff. Iran's calling everybody's bluff. There's going to be a war between America and China over that whole Taiwan thing, So now America dilly-dallying and dipping around in all these different nations and in their affairs, trying to Americanize the whole world, has come to a standstill. But the elites have to push their new world order. So if they have to get America out of the way, that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. China don't care what you do, as long as they, get to be the top dog next. And that's what they're being set up for. It says the ministry said its nuclear envoy had phone calls with the U.S. and Japanese counterparts, during which they agreed that North Korea's provocation cannot be justified and it would face consequences of self-indulgence. All right. It says tensions rising. It says North Korea leader Kim's sister warned against increased presence of U.S. strategic military assets following the joint air drills with its Asian allies over the weekend. All right, so they're pushing back at America. Like every time America pushes into other people's territories, now these other nations are pushing back. Let the weak say that I'm strong. It says the frequency of using the Pacific as our firing range depends upon the U.S. forces' actions character. She said is in a statement carried by the KCNA. The United States and South Korea are set to hold simulated nuclear tabletop exercises aimed at improving operations of U.S. nuclear assets this week, as well as annual springtime Freedom Shield field training in March. North Korea's foreign ministry said that last week it would respond to the exercises with unprecedentedly persistent, strong counteractions. All right. It says tensions of the peninsula is likely to reach its peak in coming months as North Korea is accelerating its military actions with higher frequency, and her statement indicates that it would continue impromptu missile tests using the Pacific as a shooting range, said Yang Moo-jin, a professor at the University of North Korean Studies in Seoul. All right. So now the tensions are rising, but these tensions between North Korea and America have already been there since World War II. All right, so let's go into the history of the relationships between North Korea and the United States. It says relations between North Korea and the United States have been historically tense and hostile, as both countries have no diplomatic relations. The Swedish embassy in Pyongyang is the United States protecting power and provides limited consular services to United States citizens. The DPRK has no embassy in Washington, D.C., but is represented in the United States through its mission to the United Nations. It says the source of contention dates back to the Korean War, in which both countries fought on opposite sides since the armistice was signed. As areas of contention have since revolved around North Korea's nuclear weapons program and missile tests, North Korea's human rights record, U.S. sanctions against North Korea, and military exercises held by the United States and South Korea. Despite no formal diplomatic relations, both sides have maintained contact to de-escalate tensions, but they're escalating right now, right? So this is it's the most tense that it's ever been in history at this point right now. All right. It says, in recent years, relations have been largely defined by heavy U.S. military presence in South Korea, joint U.S.-South Korea military exercises in the South China Sea, U.S. economic sanctions against North Korea, or North Korea's nuclear program, and North Korea's demand that the United States eliminate its nuclear arsenal that could reach the Korean Peninsula. North Korea has conducted 6 tests of nuclear weapons between 2006 and 2017. It has developed long-range missiles capable of striking targets thousands of miles away, possibly as far away as the continental U.S. And that was spoken about in one of those in the clips in the beginning. And it says, and threatened to strike the United States as recently as 2013, and South Korea with nuclear weapons and conventional forces. The United States nuclear weapons program is nearby Guam, in nearby Guam consist of B-1B bombers and B-2 Spirit bombers capable of launching nuclear weapons 60 times more destructive than the bomb dropped on Nagasaki. Wow. But that's going to be what takes America out. You know, they introduced the world to nuclear weapons, and that's what's going to take America out. It says, since the Korean War, the United States has maintained a strong military presence in South Korea with 28,500 troops, 90 Patriot missiles, and 5 military bases. Neither keepeth at home, but enlarges his desires as hell. Neither the United States nor North Korea has adopted a no first use nuclear weapons policy. So, all right, so no first use is a nuclear ethics and deterrence theory. No first use refers to a type of pledge or policy wherein a nuclear power formally refrains from the first use of nuclear weapons or the other weapons of mass destruction and warfare except for as a second strike in retaliation to an attack by an enemy power using WMDs. All right, so there's no clause that nobody can strike first, man. So it's a go at any given time on site. Whenever they feel like they want to, launch them off, they can launch them off. And they said that they have some that can reach the continental U.S., man. All right. I want to close it out with this. Joel chapter 3 and 11, it says, verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. So there's no longer an economical race. This is an arms race right now. Who can get the best nukes? Who can get the most nukes? Who can get the strongest arsenal? All right. So now everybody's thinking about war. All right. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves round about thither. Let the mighty ones come down. All right. So, the Lord's gathering everybody up together, man. Well, who's they get? But, ultimately everybody's going to be gathered in the valley of decisions. All right. But what's going to happen in America? They're laying siege on America, man. This is Jeremiah 50 and 14. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord. Right. So this is America being set up to be destroyed, man. And so right now, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is laying siege on this place, putting all these nations in array round about Babylon to take this down, the golden city down. All right. Utterly destroyed. All right. Verse 15, it says, shout against her round about. She hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she has done, do unto her. Cut off the sower from Babylon. All right. So the Lord is cutting everything off in this place and leaving this place defenseless. And all these other nations are going to pounce on this place and destroy Babylon, man. And it's all being done through the power and will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and served its purpose with that. Like Sekah Halayim, like Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harakak Wadash, my mouth. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and my elder Heroin as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, the sincerity and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.